You've probably noticed it. Time speeds up as you age. Birthdays come quicker, summers feel shorter, years vanish in a way they never used to. This is not your imagination. It's a measurable shift in how your brain perceives reality. Once you understand why, you can slow it down. Ask anyone over 30 about the passage of time. They will tell you the same thing, almost word for word. Summers stretched forever. School years dragged on. Even a weekend could feel like a month. But now, an entire decade can slip by without warning. You wake up and it's somehow next year. This sensation is so consistent across cultures and centuries that researchers gave it a name: time compression. In one study, researchers asked adults to estimate how long the previous month had felt to them, in days. People in their 20s said it felt about right. People in their 60s said it felt much shorter. Same month, same number of days. Very different experience. In another experiment, subjects were asked to estimate when 3 minutes had passed in silence. Young adults guessed accurately, usually within a few seconds. Older adults consistently underestimated. To them, 3 minutes felt like 2. The clock was ticking the same, their brains were processing it differently, and the gap only gets wider with every decade that passes. The simplest explanation came from a French philosopher in 1877. His name was Pierre Janet, and his idea was so simple, it sounds obvious in hindsight. A single year is a smaller fraction of your life when you're older, and that fraction shrinks every birthday. To a 5-year-old, 1 year is 20% of everything they have ever experienced. To a 50-year-old, the same year is 2%. The year hasn't changed. The reference frame has. You're measuring time against everything you have ever lived. Think about the wait between your 4th and 5th birthday. Now think about the wait between your 30th and 31st. Same 12 months, very different lived experience. Janet's theory has a brutal mathematical consequence. If you live to be 80, half of your subjective lifetime is already over by the age of 20. Not 40, not 50, 20. The math doesn't lie. The years just feel like they do. But proportion alone doesn't explain everything, because if you've ever taken a long trip somewhere new, the first 3 days feel like a week, the week feels like a month. Time slows down when you're surrounded by things you have never seen. If this is the kind of thinking you want more of, make sure you're subscribed. There's a lot more coming. The second engine behind time compression is novelty. Try this. Think back to your last vacation in a new city. The drive, the hotel, the first meal. Every detail is preserved. Now try to think about last Tuesday. Your brain measures elapsed time by counting memories. More memories per day means a longer feeling day. Fewer memories means a day that vanishes. Childhood is wall-to-wall novelty. Every smell is new, every face is unfamiliar. The brain is mapping the world for the first time. Each day generates dozens of fresh memory traces. Adult life, by contrast, is mostly repetition. The same commute, the same desk, the same conversations, the same roads home. Your brain stops bothering to encode any of it. Why would it? Nothing is new. And weeks of unrecorded life collapse into a single blurry memory of going to work. You weren't asleep, you just weren't taking notes. Researchers have noticed something strange about human memory. When you ask older adults to recall their lives, a specific pattern appears every single time. Most of their vivid, detailed memories cluster between the ages of 15 and 25. This phenomenon has a name: the reminiscence bump. It's the decade where you stopped being a kid and started becoming yourself. First job, first love, first apartment, first time away from home, first everything. The smell of your first dorm room, the sound of your first car turning over, the friend you lost touch with after senior year. You can still see all of it. Your brain encoded that decade with extraordinary density, because every experience was charting unmapped territory. By your 30s, most of the territory is already mapped. First jobs become regular jobs. First loves become normal life. New apartments become routine. The brain stops painting your days in high resolution. It quietly switches to autopilot, which is why so many adults feel like nothing important has happened since they were 23. Life kept delivering. The brain just stopped recording. There is one more system at work, and it explains why some moments feel infinite while others vanish completely. It involves a chemical called dopamine. Most people think dopamine is about pleasure. It is not. Dopamine is about prediction. Specifically, it spikes when reality turns out to be more interesting than your brain expected. When something genuinely surprises you, your brain floods with dopamine. And in that moment, time stretches. An afternoon in a city you have never visited, a conversation with a stranger that goes somewhere unexpected, the first moment of a job that genuinely scares you. Your brain pays attention to those. It cannot help itself. Studies have confirmed it. People estimating time intervals during novel or emotionally charged experiences consistently report them as longer than the clock says they were. Dopamine is the time stretcher. Children are dopamine factories. Almost everything they encounter is new. But the older you get, the harder it becomes to surprise yourself. Your brain has already seen most of what your life is going to offer. Dopamine drops and time accelerates. Here is what makes this episode different from most you have seen on the topic. Because if your brain measures time by novelty, the solution is hidden in the problem. You can slow time down deliberately, not by living longer, by living wider. Travel does it. Even a single weekend in an unfamiliar city stretches into something that feels like a full vacation. Learning a new skill works the same way. A language, an instrument, anything that forces the brain to wake up and pay attention. Meeting strangers does it too. New faces force the brain back into recording mode. Even small disruptions work. A new route home, a different cafe. Reading in a park instead of on your couch. Each break from routine forces your brain to log something it cannot ignore. The people whose lives flew by lived the same week, 52 times every year. The people whose lives felt long refused to do that. Time isn't running out on you. Your brain is just running out of reasons to remember any of it. So the next time someone tells you the years are flying by, know that they aren't wrong. But also know that it doesn't have to feel that way. Time will keep ticking at the same speed it always has. How long it feels is still up to you. Subscribe to Kairos. Think sharper, know faster.